you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. All right, everybody, it's the Morgan Thomas Show. We're getting ready to get started. I hope you're getting in. Thank you for waiting in through our sponsors. Shout out to our sponsors for getting in and being a part of our show. And thank you for being a part of our show. Make sure you hit the like button and get in the chat and say hello. We've got a ton of things we're going to talk about tonight. And it all includes you, me, Big Al, and Houston. So we look forward to it. I see people getting in now. Finally getting off work. Hope you had a good day today and getting ready for the show to talk some Clemson Tigers. Anthony Weeks, John Vallant, Valiente, Kevron Harris, always, thank you. Wherever you are, let us know in the chat. We've got Facebook in. Where's YouTube at? Oh, yes, yes, yes. We are live now, and we're in here. Welcome to the show, The Morgan Thomas Show, every Thursday night. You know to tune in over on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you for getting in if you already have gotten in. And joining me tonight, and always, well, maybe not always, sometimes they go on vacation, but in the middle, Big Al, Alan Adams, welcome in.
Yeah, vacation. Maybe we're off sick for a week, playing church basketball, whatever it may be. It's I've been gone too much. It's good to be back. Tons of stuff to talk about. Get in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and kind of extend this conversation a little bit. So it's going to be a good night.
And the favorite co-host of the show, the crowd favorite, Mr. Houston Burnett.
Yep. Speaking of vacation, this is my show before I'm on my bye week for the summer, heading down to the great land of Sullivan's Island next weekend. So I will be not able to partake. So better get it in tonight, folks, because it'll be a week before I'm back.
Well, we're glad to have you in, at least for this last show before you go on vacation. And we look forward to having everybody else in and getting your comments in the chat. The biggest thing about this show is, yes, what do? We talk all things Clemson, basketball, baseball, football, basketball, softball. I said basketball twice, whatever. If we want to talk basketball twice, Al, I'm going to talk basketball twice. And I heard a joke today. It was, is Al, I failed math so many times I can't count. How you like that one?
Nice. Did Mickey tell you that?
But yeah, thank you so much for getting in the chat. The biggest thing that you can do for us is not only join the show, but not only watch the show, but join the show. Be a part of the show. Get in the chat. Say hello. Hit the like button if you have time. And throw in a question or two. And we'll get to them as we go through the show. Now, we actually have a jam-packed show because, as you know, when July turns around, we're getting ramped up for the next season. And getting ramped up for the next season means that we're going to be talking a lot about what's coming up next season and our thoughts and just getting ready for it. So we got a lot of topics already on the docket, but we also will get to your questions as well. So let's get in and shout out and say hello to everybody so far, fellas. We got Anthony Weeks says hello to What's Up Morgan and the crew. John gets in, says, this is my favorite show. Thank you, John. We appreciate that.
Checks in the mail.
Kevron says, hi, Morgan Thomas, Big Al, Alan Adams, and Houston Burnett. Listening from Cope, South Carolina. Go Tigers. Also Kevron's favorite show, which we know it's Kevron's favorite show. He tunes in every single week. Timothy gets in. Hope everyone is having a good day. Let's go Tigers. Al, I'd be having a better day if the roads in my neighborhood would get fixed.
Is that right? You should probably call your local RCE or something.
Already got a question in from Jared about Adam Randall. We'll get to that, Jared. Kevron gets in, talking about Cade Klubnik. Joe Joey is watching. Joe Joey, welcome in. It's my dad. B Harp, hey guys, love your show. Hashtag Go Tigers. Devon Mitchell says, hello, my brother from the island of St. Thomas. I'm a man of my word. I got you good cold at Cold Point Beach. Oh, no. This is not my Oklahoma fan. Oh, no, fellas. I told you about my Oklahoma friend from St. Thomas.
This is a new story for me, man.
Maybe I was too embarrassed to talk about. We're gonna move on from Mr. Mitchell, Devon. We can't do that. We can't talk about Oklahoma in this show. And then David gets in, says, "Big fan here. I appreciate everybody. We got about 30 people watching so far over on Facebook, and on about 18 over on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for getting in and being a part of the show. And we'll continue to talk about Clemson again. I did a show Saturday night. We talked about Ohio State. We had a bunch of Ohio State fans on. That's the one, if you go back and watch, this is the one with the aquarium. I did a show, and we had an Ohio State fan on. We talked a lot about them. I don't assume we're going to be talking about Oklahoma tonight unless you guys want to talk about them. But maybe we could talk down about them and how much we don't like Brent Venables anymore. But no, we still love Brent Venables. Man, the impact of Brent Venables, I think will last many, many years to come. Don't you guys think? I mean, the impact of Brent Venables could be a part of the Clemson culture for what? Forever? Al?
So I hope so. I mean, you kind of want that.
Al's kind of breaking up on us. We can't hear him. Houston, we'll go to you.
Struggling signal and Anderson.
Man.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think so. I mean, regardless of what happens, whether Wes Goodwin turns into a savant or he's just a really good defensive coordinator or whatever, Brent Venables can't be overstated because there was an inflection point with this program where you think back to 2011, they had Chad Morris, they had a unique offense, but they ran up and down the field in Miami against West Virginia, and that really kind of changed the tides when somebody like Brent Venables came to Clemson in 2012. And, it took a couple of years, but then by 2014, it really just changed everything, and Clemson is what they are today, and Brent Venables was very key to that.
All right, fellas. Al, I'm sorry, we didn't get your answer because you kind of went out there.
Am I back or am I still frozen?
I'm thinking you're back. I hear you now.
Well, that's good. I say that. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, the internet is always good in my house. So I don't know what it is with this show and what you're doing to sabotage, but it's a little ridiculous, and I'm a little upset about it, if we're just being honest.
Well, don't be honest.
But, hey, I love me some Brent Venables. We've talked about him for a long time. I want those kind of coaching things need to be here forever. They need to be at Clemson forever. It's one of those things that you'll never forget, the guy for what he did and how aggressive he was and all his defenses. I know you love to call him Blitz Venables, and that's something I really, really enjoyed about him. Is he brought the pressure. He made the other team make plays that they were uncomfortable with. He kept them uncomfortable, kept them on their backs. And it was a lot of fun. I hope Wes Goodwin just continues to lead that charge.
Jared gets in, says he likes Brent Venables, but he hopes that the Clemson Tigers crush them every chance they get.
Agreed.
I wouldn't mind that either.
I agree.
B. Harp says, I think if Brent succeed at Oklahoma, he will always be linked to Clemson's success. I think we already see that there's going to be a forever link as well because, he learned so much about how to be a head coach from Dabo Swinney. There's no way around it. I mean, you see it when they talk about all in and best is the standard, and we're going to recruit players that show that they're interested by coming to the school before just throwing out offers. Those are things that Dabo Swinney has in his philosophy, and it's carrying over for Oklahoma. All right, fellas, you ready to get into the show? I mean, we got a ton to talk about. We're going to talk about recruiting. We're going to talk about offensive play calling. We're going to talk about Tyler Williams, Caleb Downs, Hunter Osborne. We're going to talk about the running back room, and we're going to even talk about the position coaches. We got a top 5 for you. We're going to talk about the position coaches. But let's start off with what's next for Clemson's recruiting class. We've talked about recruiting all offseason because we love it so much. But what's next? We've seen what Clemson can do. They recently landed 5-star defensive tackle Peter Woods from Alabama. Big pickup. One of the best players in the country. Not only that, just 8 minutes from Pelham, Alabama, where where Dabo Swinney is from. So the question is now, and Al just disappeared on us, but the question is now, Houston, what do they do next? Is there a little bit of a lull now? Is there a little bit of, kind of a calm? Because they've got 17 commits now, Houston. They now have to go into, we're halfway through July. August is fall camp. The end of July is Dabo Swinney's all-in cookout. So there could be some recruiting news there in the next couple of weeks. But then there's fall camp, which is a lot of effort on the coaches. They have to then turn to the team that's right there in front of them, the 2022 team. And then they host players as official visits throughout the season. But there are some holes still yet to fill. Houston, I'll start with you. We'll throw Al because he's back in, but start with you. What's the biggest hole to fill in your opinion?
Well, I think now that they've been able to make up for majority of for the defensive and offensive line, I think the priorities now shift to more of the skill positions and the back end of the defense. I would say if you had to put a ranking to it, 1A, 1B would be running back and wide receiver, but some of those may not have resolution until later in the fall. And I think people need to understand that some of these positions will take some time. But Ronan Hannafin has potential to commit to Clemson. I think the amount of wide receivers that Notre Dame is taking in this class has given them a little bit of pause just because, they took like 5 or 6 or even 7 last year, and they're taking another 3 to 4 this year. So not to say that he's not for competition, but I think there's an opportunity for him to play a little faster, potentially at Clemson, if he were to come here. So that's something that could be a feather in the cap. Running back, we'll talk more about that. But I think from there, it's just kind of pick your poison. Obviously, there's some candidates out there like Hunter Osborne that's still out there for defensive line. But I would say running back and wide receiver are 1A, 1B.
Al, we're going to be talking about a few players that I meant that Houston just mentioned, that I mentioned that we're going to look at their highlight film. But is there any one position for you that sticks out that they have to nail down?
Yeah, I agree a lot with what Houston said. I'll tell you this: I would go lean more towards receiver, and mainly because I'm just kind of the school of thought that running backs are a dime a dozen for the most part, and I just feel like that we can find one late in the process. Whether he might not be up to Travis Etienne standard or something like that, but I think they're going to be solid enough that you can go out and win with. So I think we can do that. I think we got to find a receiver. I think it's a awful thing we weren't able to hang on to Ray Joseph. I think he's going to be a huge playmaker, and that was a tough one to lose. I wish we could find somebody else like that, a slot receiver with some speed, who could play in there and create some mismatches and get in open space. But yeah, I would say wide receiver is number 1 for me. Running back is definitely number 2.
I think everybody's kind of interested to see what's going to happen at running back. They went out, and I talked about this in a recent text message between you guys. They went out and they started with Richard Young and Justice Haynes. They basically offered 2 around the same time. And they, from my understanding, told both of them, hey, whoever decides to commit, it's yours. We're going to offer both of you, but we can only take one, and we love you both. But you're our first ones, and you've shown interest. You've come on unofficials, and you've come to junior day. And Justice Haynes was coming to baseball games. He was actually entertaining Clemson pretty well, I think. Now, he is a Georgia legacy. His dad played at Georgia. Richard Young, looking back, seems to be leaning towards Alabama and always was. But, hey, you have to go for your shot, 5-star guy, right? If you only got one to take, my opinion is you got to go for the stars, right? Even if it may be a long shot. Now, once those 2 gentlemen, and the way Clemson does recruiting, Houston and we've talked about it many times, but they're very transparent about their goals, and they want the player in return to be transparent about their feelings, their leaning. And so Richard Young, Justice Haynes, early on this year, ended up saying, hey, you know what? We're going to take official visits elsewhere. We're not going to probably come back to Clemson for official visits. So those 2 out of the mix then. Around February, Cedric Baxter, who had came in for a camp in 2021, gets offered. So there was a little bit of a relationship there. He had shown interest by coming to camp. Cedric Baxter was offered, but I believe, and this is just me speculating, you don't really just offer somebody without trying to say, hey, I'm going to offer you, but you also need to return the favor and come visit us, come see us. Well, they gave him February, they gave him March, they gave him April, and they gave him through May, and he still had not come to Clemson. And so, to my understanding, at that time in May, they moved on to Jeremiah Cobb, who was the guy who said, hey, if you offer me, I'm coming on an official visit. And they offered him, and he came on an official visit. He came in early June and saw the university. Now, a lot of people say, well, he was always an Auburn lean. But again, it goes back to, you're one of the best teams in the country. You got to shoot your shot, man. You got to go for it. And even though he was already leaning to Auburn, Clemson gave their best effort, and he's still committed to Auburn. But I feel like, it makes sense the players that are on the board right now. And then now they have Christopher Johnson, who is going to be a difficult one as well. He is basically a speedy track guy, one of the fastest guys I've seen in Florida. Won his division in the state championships at the 100 meter and the 200 meter. So he's blazing fast. But with that comes also the caveat that he and his family love and are around Miami. So you're fighting Miami there, who has a lot of momentum with Mario Cristobal right now. It's never going to be easy, but you got to take your shots with the best available. You know, you say it in NFL. Sometimes you want to take the best available on the draft board, right? But then a lot of fans, I think, use it as a negative towards Clemson. I don't really understand it. Like, we need to offer 15 more people. Well, first of all, that's not the philosophy. And second of all, you're going to take the best available, and you're also going to continue for your philosophy of being transparent and saying, hey, this is what we're going after. You have your slot. I'm going to give you your opportunity. Now, that transparency is returned and reciprocated. Now, sometimes, Houston, you and I know, Alan, you and I know, that you don't hear back from the player until it's like, December. Well, that's a long time to wait for a fan. It's not fun for us. I'm sure it's a little bit nerve-wracking for a coach as well. But that's the way that they run recruiting. So right now, Christopher Johnson is number one on the board. Now, there'll be other ones after him that they are talking to. It would be ridiculous if they weren't. But I agree with Al. I think running back is super important because you have a little bit of a gap. You didn't pick up your second player last year. If you don't pick up a player this year, there's a little bit of a gap, but you fill it in with your walk-on from Dominique Thomas. So I like Dominique Thomas a lot. I've been promoting him a lot. I would like to see them take at least one this class running back. And then I would like to see them, really you could shoot for the stars again in 2024, 2025. I don't think it's going to be that bad. But what's next for me, I've got on the board running back and wide receiver. Obviously, you also have Hunter Osborne, who is a defensive end. So do you guys see anybody else? I mean, I know that there is talk about another player in the secondary. Who do you guys see that's like top of the board on the secondary? Houston, I'll start with you.
Realistically, probably Robert Billings. I know there's been scuttlebutt for some other names for corner and for safety that haven't really been offered yet. So I don't want to project what's going to happen there. Clemson has a pretty patented approach that there's going to be a list of names probably pop up either at the end of the summer or during the season where you're like, who is this kid? Oh, he turns out to be pretty good. Oh, he turns out to be an All-American. That's kind of what's happened. They've done that several classes now with guys that have turned out in several different positions. So I would say if there is someone on the board in the secondary, Robert Billings is probably that guy, but also just be aware, like there's going to be some more guys get offered.
Al, if you had to, do you think that they'll go after a third cornerback?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think Houston was, the name we're talking about defensive back, and Houston brought up Robert Billings. I think he's the one you hear most about when it comes to defensive backfield. You'll hear about Damari Brown and some guys like that, little, higher tier guys, but will probably end up going elsewhere. And I think those are the kind of guys we're looking at right now, at least to fill those positions. I don't know if you're going to get into the other potential openings we have, but I still think, you could potentially take a tackle if a speed rush end were to come available. I think you go after him. I still think you're looking for an offensive tackle. There's several positions out there where we could still recruit. And of course, we've already talked about receiver and running back as well. So there's definitely still people out there that Clemson's going to be communicating with and keeping those, irons in the fire just in case something opens up later on, in the cycle with attrition or due to whatever transfer or whatever. So there's going to be several that we can still hopefully reel in. Goodness gracious, you can never have enough on either of the lines is what we talk about here a lot. We've already recruited so unbelievably on the defensive line right now. And to be honest with you, I'm good with, except for we need one more defensive end right now. I'm good with everybody else. I don't care if we get any more. To me, it's just icing on the cake right now. I would like a more pure speed pass rush type of guy. But honestly, that guy was Keldrick Falk to me, and he went to Florida State. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if there's any new names pop up or anything that comes down the pike. But Houston talked about it with defensive back especially. There's always these names that nobody's heard of that kind of come on strong at the end of the cycle that Clemson offers, especially at corner and safety. It seems to happen a lot, and it's happened over the last several years. I'm hoping the same thing can happen at end.
Names you might want to look at. Christopher Johnson, we did a video on him. Tyler Williams, we're going to talk about tonight. Ronan Hannafin, Stanton Rammel, as Alan said, Hunter Osborne, Damari Brown, and then again, Robert Billings. So a lot of those names out there that we've mentioned, go check them out and see what you think in there as well. Let's get in the chat, fellas, and let's see what everybody has to say before we move on to our next topic. That was a quick check-in with our where Clemson is recruiting-wise so far, heading into mid-July into early August. So let's look at the chat real quick. Corporal Husk gets in, says, I think we are in decent shape with Hannafin. And if the new slot wide receiver, RJ Baker, name just popped up, if he runs a 4.3, that's a nice slot prospect under the radar as well. So RJ Baker is one maybe if you're a recruiting fan, go check out as well. Obviously 4.3 is really fast, and that would be great for any kind of slot receiver. Timothy on YouTube gets in and says Damari Brown at cornerback, Robert Billings at safety. Sarian says for sure Clemson takes their best shot. Problem is sometimes it's way too late. It works when the recruit has always had Clemson near the top. Really tough when they haven't. Yeah, if you're having to make up a lot of lost ground, I think we all can agree with that. You don't want to be in that position. I think to John and I would both agree, you don't want to be in that position, and that's why it's so important for your position coach to have, have a really good understanding before they even make the offer. Because of the way Clemson does the philosophy, you start throwing out offers and it's a long shot. Yeah, you take your shot, but sometimes you gotta say, hey, is this really worth it? I don't know. Sometimes it may be, sometimes it may not. But like I said, I think too late. It goes back to the fact that maybe there really wasn't a good relationship being built anyways, which Clemson tries to avoid that situation. Joey says Mario will make a splash at Miami. They will be real competition. Now, Houston, they're 7th overall in the nation right now. Is that shocking to you?
No. I mean, look, they've always recruited well. They recruited well under Randy Shannon. They've recruited well under Al Golden. They recruited really well under Mark Richt. Recruited well under Manny Diaz. So it's not surprising. Like, there's a reason they call it the state of Miami, because you can just go out there and, basically throw your helmet out there, and people in the area are going to remember the nostalgia, the fog of the Orange Bowl and all that kind of stuff. So it's not that surprising. I want to see it happen on the field. And look, they could be really, really good, but I also could see a situation where maybe they've got a window that they got to capitalize on this nostalgia, or it's going to peter off. I don't know. Miami could be gangbusters, go back to being a national champion. But I don't know. Like, I just want to see it happen first. You got to herald the son of Miami, but I just got to see it to believe it.
Tyson gets in over on YouTube, says, I love where our O-line recruiting is going. Bob Sadler, Colin Sadler's dad, gets in and says, need to give Coach Caldwell props for what he's doing now. He absolutely makes families understand that Clemson is a family. He has a unique ability to convey what Clemson is all about. There isn't, and he says, sorry, the internet isn't good over in Inman. But I agree with him. I think Al, when you look back, not having him leave the program completely was a good sign for Clemson. I mean, Dabo wants to keep his inner circle connected and still close to the team, and I think doing that was really a good job for him, for Coach Caldwell staying.
Sure, yeah, he did a good job here for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who wanted to give him, some crap near the end of his career about, getting old. We need some new blood in there, all that kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, I thought I thought he did some good things. He was a really good guy to be around. He was a funny guy. If you ever listen to any of his interviews, they were hysterical. So he certainly knew how to relate to some kids. I think it's a good thing we got Austin in there, and he's going to kill it. He's already shown that on the recruiting trail. So it's going to be fun to watch him and what he does with the guys this season for sure, and in how he develops, offensive linemen a little bit differently. You can already see the difference in his philosophy with the kind of guys he's recruiting, these big time guys, these mammoths, and that you're going to have to, have a hard time moving. So it's already a little bit different, but it's just going to be interesting to see how he develops them differently on the field, how he coaches them up.
Now, we got about 50 people over on Facebook and I think about 30 or so over on YouTube. Please get in, hit the like button, and share with a friend if you don't mind. Be a friend, share with a friend, and tell them about the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al and Houston. And we talk about Clemson every Thursday night, 7 p.m. But if you could help with our algorithm, all you got to do is hit the like button. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, the like button will definitely help. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because if you missed anything so far from our show, I do highlights and I post them up throughout the rest of the week. So take a look at those as well. All right. Now I know this one's going to be really exciting for everybody out there. I hope the chat gets in there for this. This is our armchair offensive coordinator time, fellas. I know you've been wanting to do this one. Now we're going to do this. And I thought about it because of a recent article that Anna Adams posted up. No relation to Big Al. But she posted up over on 24/7 Sports, and it was a repost from an article back in April, and you can go read it now on that site. But it had quotes from Kyle Richardson, who is the new passing game coordinator for the Tigers, as you know, going into this year. And she asked him some pretty difficult, straightforward questions about what the offense is going to look like going into next year. So my question to everyone out there is, be the armchair quarterback. It's your time to give us your opinion. How would you fix Clemson's offense? I know there are many different reasons and reasons why Clemson did what they did or didn't do what they did last year in offense, why they were 100th overall in the nation in total offense. But we want to know what your reason for fixing it is. Not what was bad, not what worked. We want to know what you're going to do to fix it and make it better in the 20. If you were the offensive coordinator, what would you do? And here's a question. Here's a quote from Kyle Richardson to 24/7 Sports. You can read that as well over there. But it's one of those situations where if you look back at the big picture, I've been here 6 years, and you go, okay, we've done some great things in the passing game. As a coach, you can't just zoom in on last year. The flip side is you can't just assume we'll be better next year because of X, Y, and Z and not change anything. Obviously, my background is passing, and that's where Coach Sweeney has challenged us to get back to where we were. I think that'll come with some healthy guys, but we also have to get our confidence back in the passing game. We lost it last year, and once we lost it, it was hard to get it back. Man, I thought that was a great quote because, Al, you know how it is. ACC Media Day is coming up. Coaches don't give you real quotes like that. Maybe it's because he's a new guy. But coaches don't give you – they usually give you coach speak. So, Al, once they lost their confidence, it was hard to get it back. So, if you're the offensive coordinator going into next year, how do you prevent that?
Well, I got to tell you, this is, as far as fixing the offense is concerned, we've been talking about this for a long time. This is something that message board fodder will be talking about. People, always throwing in their opinion. I think it's pretty easy. More slants, more middle of the field, quick throws, leaves your quarterback, without that pressure. Well, having to worry about these defensive ends running at him, especially if they're playing Georgia in the opening game. And, okay, I don't know when they had the confidence he's talking about last year because, they got hit in the mouth game one. So I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about.
Maybe it was
in the summer
game
practice.
one.
So they lost it game one without a doubt. A lot more slants. We've never used the middle of the field very, very well, in my opinion. And we haven't had to, and that's okay. You can win without it, and we've proven that. When we had the Mike Williams and the T. Higgins of the world and Justin Rosses and those type of guys. But the game is changing. they are using these small, quick twitch guys in the middle of the field, getting open. You can use a tight end over the middle field. Doesn't have to be the small, quick twitch guy, but there are areas of the middle of the field to exploit. I cannot absolutely stand when I see other teams do this against us and against other teams, especially people, when South Carolina's playing somebody and they have somebody running wide open across the middle. I was like, well, I don't understand why we cannot implement this into our system, because people, if they use the middle of the field, it's so easy to find somebody open. I think we can do it. And I'll tell you this is something I noticed last year, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on the show. This might make some of the fan base cringe, but I'll tell you, I don't think Clemson threw anywhere near enough jump balls last year. Nobody likes to talk about the jump balls. I know we don't have Mike Williams anymore. I understand all that. I get it. It's tough. But I thought Clemson lacked the alpha last year. I think most people would agree with that. They lacked an alpha receiver. They lacked an option to just go up and make a play, whether you were covered or not. And that would have done a couple of things. First of all, you don't have to be all that accurate with a jump ball. You toss it up in the air and let your receiver go make a play. It doesn't matter if you're covered, because it's a 50-50 ball anyways. Okay, so it's kind of irrelevant, but you use those jump balls as opportunities to help create an alpha. And I didn't think Clemson did that at all last year. I think they have a couple of guys, or they have several guys actually, with the ability to do that in Ngata, in Dakari Collins, and maybe even Bo Collins. I think they have the people that can do it. But I was a little disappointed to see that. Overall, again, it's all about the middle of the field. Get the tight ends involved with Davis Allen, Brenningstool, and those type of guys. And, of course, you got your slot guys. You'll have your Will Taylor and Troy Stellato and Brennan Spector, those guys. So I think it's a pretty simple answer. Use the middle of the field, get it done, create some space so that DJ doesn't have to throw in the tight windows, keep him a little more comfortable back there, and I think it'll pay dividends.
More of catches like that. One-on-one, beating the guy. Oh, by the way, winning the national championship as well. Yep. Houston, is that number one for you, or are you thinking something else?
I'm going to spin it a different way, because, jump balls are good. I think jump balls for alpha wide receivers are always something that will always be something that Clemson will emphasize. But at the same time, and sorry, am I echoing?
A little bit. I don't know. It just started all of a sudden.
Okay.
Maybe the mic's too close to the computer. I don't know. I turned you down.
Is that good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound better. Okay.
So I think part of this is the post-snap reads for the offense is something that Kyle Richardson also talked about. And a lot of the post-snap reads are going to be based on the motion off of linebackers, being able to see what's going on up there. That's how Joe Brady had a successful offense at LSU, right? Those weren't anything crazy, but them clearing out an area of the field and having a wide receiver read what the leverage was on a linebacker. So if he had outside leverage, they would go to the outside and you would get 10 or 15 yards. Or a lot of the times, if they had leverage going towards the outside, they'd have a wide open guy in the middle of the field that would get 20, 30, 40. If you had Jamar Chase, that's a 35-yard play. And then if you bring your guys up to have to cover for that, that's when you just go over the top and you have a guy like Jamar Chase destroy your All-American corner. There's simple things like that. The other thing that I would say is I like the idea of concept borrowing, and we started to do that a little bit this year. We started to get more two-back sets like Coastal Carolina and more option kind of looks. There are ways that you can get teams off balance, especially if you're trying to build confidence in DJ or if you're trying to build up confidence in Cade, if that is ever necessary. Keeping the defense off the toe, not just being able to key in on one guy, like we got to take away the run or the pass. If certain games you come out with option looks like Coastal Carolina, and then the next game you go up tempo and start hammering the middle of the field, there's ways to do that. Or you could go the Dan Mullen route where you have a feature guy that that's going to be a matchup issue, and you're trying to get them the ball as much as possible. I'm all for a variety of offense as far as this goes, but I feel like being able to first move to where it's a post-snap reading the leverage of the linebackers and what you have is going to be able to create a lot of opportunities going forward.
I think that Clemson what I would like to see, I think they need to start with their strengths going into the end of the season. They did really well with the running backs and getting them as basically the workhorse for the team, and passing really kind of took second to the running game. And that's where they found success. They have 3 really good running backs going into next year. I'd like to see them continue to lean on them at first and hopefully help out that confidence for the passing game by starting with the running game. Now, that actually goes against, as Al mentioned, that's not the way the trend of college football is going. So it does scare me to say that, because college football is going the way of throw it deep, throw jump balls, get behind the defense, and one-on-one all the way, and just air raid it out. And people in the chat are talking about that kind of stuff. But then again, I think Clemson has to play with the personnel that they have. And one thing I think they can do better, and Dabo Swinney has mentioned it, is again getting open in space, and you can do that with the running back as well. When they get into a call where they're blocking someone and there's no one there to block, Travis Etienne was so great at just scooting on his way out and getting into open field and being a check down for Trevor Lawrence. And that's why they were just so good. And they're looking and anticipating them doing that into next year as well for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think having someone that can be kind of your safety valve is great for the Tigers. But I also think that someone that you can rely on, even if that wasn't their original call, if they can make an audible during the play, I think that's really important for them. So that's what I really look for. Let's look in the chat and see what everybody has to say. Now, Al jumped out again because I guess he's continuing to have some issues, which we hate that, but his internet's not doing very well right now. It must be overloaded. I don't know why. This is not normally what happens. But the show will go on, Houston. You still there?
I'm still here.
The show will go on. I know Al's about to throw. Knowing Al, he's about to throw the computer out the window. I know that, but we'll move on. So let's go through the chat and let's see what everybody has to say, because we want to get your opinion in as well. And plus, we got a bunch of people in. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe or follow, and also hit the like button to help us out as well. All right. So John gets in, says, love offensive creativity, but please no more passes by guys who don't throw all the time. That Shipley pass made me jump out of my chair. I think there got to a point sometimes, Houston, would you admit that Clemson got a little too fancy with some of their play calling?
That's even when Clemson had Trevor and Deshaun. There are a little bit of tendencies to get a little bit cute. When it works, you go, man, that was awesome. When it doesn't work, you're like, quit getting cute, run the daggone ball. That's the kind of stuff that if that fake punt in the Orange Bowl in 2015 didn't work, man, that would have been some real ire for some people. But it worked. And
it worked.
Everybody was like, hey, that's pretty great. Same with the jump pass. I'm not going to complain on a play that works, but man, if it didn't work, you're going to be hearing from me.
Clemson, Corporal Husk over on YouTube says, Clemson has to have a player that you can rely on to make plays underneath or in the middle of the field. This also includes running back in passing game, screens or swings. That's exactly what I think. I think the running backs can play a key role in the passing game as well, and I think they should play a key role in the passing game in 2022. I also agree with you, Houston, about the tight ends. I'd like to see what the tight ends can do. A lot of people are in the chat talking about the tight ends, and John gets in and says, you could throw some jumps to Davis Allen and Brenningstool. Houston, do you feel like Jake Brenningstool could be a guy that gets his name out there a lot going into next year, or at the end of next year? You think Brenningstool is going to be someone people are way more familiar with?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Brenningstool and Allen are going to have great years if they're utilized correctly. As far as jump balls go, I would say situationally, look at what you need to do there. I think if you've got a chance to get them the ball in open space, especially Brenningstool, do that. If you can find a way to get him the ball down the middle of the field, by all means, he's going to be a great tight end for Clemson. And so I would look at that. Now, if it's a corner matchup that you have between Brenningstool or Allen, like they did last year against Florida State, if you got the matchup, by all means, I'm never going to say no to that. Just make sure you hit your throw.
So David over on Facebook says, what does Coach Richardson bring to the table offensively? Well, I don't know if you know much about Coach Richardson, but he was a really good high school coach. Let me give you some stats for him. Let me give you some information on where he came from. So, began his career as an assistant at North Gwinnett High School in Georgia. Also held wide receiver coach positions at Lee County High School in North Carolina and Avery County High School. Has 2 master's degrees and a 2020 master's degree in athletic leadership from Clemson. Earned his undergrad from Appalachian State. Inducted into the York County Sports Hall of Fame in 2019. One of 6 members to be inducted, including among those Jadeveon Clowney. Part of 2 undefeated seasons at Northwestern, including 15-0 year as an offensive coordinator in 2010 and a 15-0 campaign as the head coach in 2013. Helped Northwestern to a record 107-24, an 817 win percentage with 8 Region 3 championships and 3 state championships in his 9 total seasons with the program. So this is a guy who's been known to be successful at the high school level on offense as a coordinator, as a wide receivers coach, and as a head coach as well, and a state champion, be that, and a Hall of Fame coach in the state as well. So he has coached guys like Mason Rudolph, Cordell Patterson, Logan Rudolph, Justin Worley, and Jared Cook. So he's coached some guys that have made it all the way into the NFL as well and had some success. So looking back at who is Kyle Richardson, and by the way, he has pictures of him. His parents have pictures of himself in orange overalls when he was a kid. What more could you like about the guy? He is definitely a Clemson man through and through.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've seen him coach. I've seen him coach in person in high school. The offense was very good, and this was going against a. It was towards the end of the big run of Burns' team, so Burns ended up winning, but it was a very closely contested game. Northwestern was able to move the ball with relative ease on a nationally ranked Burns team at Burns. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to the passing game, and I think he's a up-and-comer when it comes to being able to assess the needs as far as the passing games go. You look at what he's trying to do. They're trying to create simplicity, but also evolve. It's a conundrum there, but I think it can be done, and I think Richardson's the type of mind that can do it.
So thank you so much, everybody, for getting in the chat on that topic. We'll move on from that one. A ton of good comments, and if you missed it, again, you can get in the highlights as I put them up throughout the rest of the week. We still got a ton to talk about. Got 3 player highlight reviews to look at, and then also some more questions. Al doesn't look like he's going to be getting in. I haven't checked my text messages.
He has since said we will be duoing it for the rest of the night, and I sent back me booing him. So thanks, Al. Thanks for leaving us here tonight. We'll carry the team, man. We're the producer. We produce here.
Yeah, well, I attempt to produce. I'm going to text him here. But yeah, so it looks like it's us. Well, I think we'll continue with some more discussion, but I think what we want to do is a top 5 list, if you don't mind. Let's go on to the next thing. This is our top 5. Now, I thought this was kind of interesting. I teased this on the Mickey Plyler show this morning, but we're going to do top 5 Clemson position coaches right now. Well, I guess I should put for 2022. I always forget to add that part in there. So top 5 Clemson position coaches for 2022. So let's go look at some photos here. From left to right, Houston, just in case you don't know these names and these faces, I'm going to introduce them to you, okay? You've got the head coach, Dabo Swinney. Now, he, for all purposes, is not included in this, okay? He's no longer a position coach, all right? He cannot be included. So you cannot say Dabo Swinney, all right, Houston? We're clear on that rule?
I wasn't going to do it anyway.
All right, so then you got Mike Reed. He's the cornerbacks coach, special teams coordinator, and assistant head coach. So he's cornerbacks coach. He's there. Mickey Kahn, co-defensive coordinators and safeties. So he's an option. Nick Eason, now he just started, but I'm going to throw him out there as well. He's fair game, assistant coach, defensive run game coordinator, and defensive tackles coach. Wes Goodwin, he's a defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. by the way. So he's in there. Kyle Richardson, tight ends, passing game coordinator. Brandon Streeter, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks. And then Tyler Gresham, assistant coach, recruiting coordinator, wide receivers. And then the final three, another new guy, Thomas Austin, offensive line coach. Lemansky Hall, or Coach Ski, as they say, defensive ends. And then CJ Spiller, running backs coach, legendary Hall of Fame, college football Hall of Fame player, CJ Spiller, there as well. So that's the players that's the coaches we have to choose from. Get in the chat. Let me know what you think. Top 5 Clemson position coaches right now. Now, this includes Houston. I don't know. We didn't really make any ground rules on this, but that includes recruiting results and development results. Is that okay?
That works for me.
All right. So I'm going to give you my 5, 4, and 3. All right.
Okay.
So, and then we'll go 1 to 1, 2 and 1. All right. So 5 for me. Well, let me do this. Honorable mention. I know he's a new. Wait, what? Why are you looking at me like that? Why are you looking at
honorable mentions, man? Come on.
I can do an honorable mention. What are you talking about? I can't do an honorable mention.
Boo. Oh my gosh.
I can do an honorable mention. Okay. All right. I'm doing an honorable mention. I'm going to say Thomas Austin. You know, he's had a great recruiting class. We have no idea what he's going to do as a coach because this is his first year. But I'm going to say his first year, man, what a great start to the offensive line recruiting. So I'm going to give him honorable mention. All right. And then my 5, 4, and 3, I got Mickey Kahn, safeties coach, number 5. Nick Eason, defensive tackles coach, number 4, mainly because of his recruiting. And Lemansky Hall, Coach Ski, defensive ends coach, because really his recruiting and his development. I mean, he's got a ton of success with monster defensive ends. So I got 3 defensive coaches in my 5, 4, and 3, and then my honorable mention, Thomas Austin. All right, Houston, give me yours.
Well, since there's no rules, and we can just do whatever.
I mean, there is literally no rules.
Right. There's no rules here. So my honorable mention is Wes Goodwin, because we've at least seen him coach a game, called a great game. They only allowed 13 points.
Wes Goodwin.
He's been a great recruiter at linebackers. So far, the 2 that he's hauled in are spectacular. So, you know, A+ start. Number 5, I'm just going to say both defensive line coaches, because that way you can encompass development and recruiting. They've both, Lemansky Hall and Nick Eason, have recruited really well. Lemansky Hall has developed really well. And I think Nick Eason is going to fit like a glove for the culture that Clemson has. So I anticipate great things. Number 4, I would put Thomas Austin. Met Thomas Austin, know Thomas Austin, great guy. Knew this was going to be a great fit for him. So far, he's absolute aces as a recruiter. He's knocked it out of the park. You know, there was a lot of angst and consternation about, you know, oh, is he not going to do it? And he proceeded to just burn those message board haters to the ground, and I couldn't be more happy for him. I'd say number 3, I'm going to say Brandon Streeter, simply because it's an important year he's had the process of developing Deshaun and Trevor, and if he's able to turn this year around, regardless of whether it's DJ or Cade coming in and setting the world ablaze, it's a big year for him. And I think this would be something that could get him really high on this list if they have a good year. So I would say that was number 3. Number 2.
Whoa. All right. So recap your 5, 4, and 3.
5, 4, 3, defensive line, Thomas Austin, and Brandon Streeter.
All right. So again, if you're looking at that picture, Kyle Richardson has a beard now, so it kind of throws me off when I'm looking at this picture. They got to update this. Come on, ClemsonTigers.com. We got to update this picture. All right, so let's go round robin here. Brandon Streeter for me is my number 2. I know you just mentioned him. Man, he's had good success with quarterbacks. He's had great success with quarterback recruiting. He's earned his position as an offensive coordinator now. So I like. There's not a ton to like about Brandon Streeter, not a ton to hate, and I look forward to seeing what he can do now. He's the man as the offensive coordinator, with Kyle Richardson helping him out in the passing game as well. But I think Brandon Streeter has more than proved that he's one of the better coaches on the staff from recruiting and development wise.
Yeah, I'm going to say number 2 is CJ Spiller. And that's going to shock some people, and I don't care. The reason why these my number 2 is developmental wise. Out of how horrendous the offense was last year, there was one unit on the field that week after week they were consistent. That was the running backs. They worked hard, and that might be some partly because you got 3 workhorses in there that are absolute studs that really picked up the steam when a couple of the other guys went to the transfer portal. But part of that too is coaching as well, being able to develop those guys, and that shouldn't be unnoticed. They had the best unit on the field on offense, and that might not be saying a lot, but that also saved Clemson in several games last year. And so that shouldn't go unnoticed. And I also think that he's going to land a great running back. I think people that are giving him unjust scrutiny right now are going to be, once again, like what Thomas Austin has done to the message board haters. CJ Spiller will also burn them to the ground eventually, too. It's just a matter of time.
I think that every coach on this staff, whether we can pick them or not, there's more than 5, so we can't pick everybody.
Yeah.
But I think everybody has their strengths and that has something great to bring to the table. CJ Spiller definitely being one of those guys. I mean, you cannot assume that that the running backs there just figured it out on their own.
Right.
I mean, that would be ridiculous. So he's definitely playing a role. Now, I'll say this. Some people may moan and groan and gnashing their teeth, right, when you say this, but wait till the end of this year, and Clemson has one of the best running attacks in the nation. I think a lot of people are going to take a step back and say, CJ Spiller is pretty good. And we'll talk more about that too. But all right, so for me, my number 1 is kind of Dabo Swinney's right-hand man. Got a little bit of an extra bonus this season because of some coaching attrition. But he's the guy right there next to Dabo Swinney. And I put him as the assistant. He's the assistant head coach, special teams coordinator, cornerbacks coach, great developer, multiple guys in the NFL, first round, second round, third round, fourth round, guys that are dominating on Sundays, continuing to recruit at a high level. And that for me is Mike Reed, the cornerbacks coach. Mike Reed, to me, is the best coach on the staff right now for 2022. Houston, who you got?
I would agree. Mike Reed is my number 1. I am of the belief that, if Clemson has a great year this year, it would not surprise me at all if Mike Reed gets picked up by somebody to be a defensive.
Whoa. Houston, you are not allowed to talk about that at all.
I'm just saying.
Mike Reed forever.
Just go ahead and be prepared, because like everyone's been saying, it's just a matter of time. He's not going anywhere to be a cornerbacks coach. He's going to go somewhere to be a defensive coordinator, and he's been great.
He's still my heart.
He's been great. He's recruited well. He's developed some of the best secondaries in the country. And look, if he does choose to go somewhere to be a defensive coordinator, he absolutely deserves that shot. No power, no harm, no foul. I think everybody would be happy about that. I mean,
let's get in the chat, see what everybody has to say. And Clemson Tiger 300 over on YouTube says Mike Reed is the best assistant coach on the staff. Timothy gets in, says Mike Reed 1, Coach Ski 2, Nick Eason 3, Streeter 4, CJ 5. Tyson says, would love to see more jet sweep motion. Well, let's Dean Wilson says Wes Goodwin, Mickey Kahn, which we didn't say Mickey Kahn, but Mickey Kahn's got a stud group of safeties back there.
Yeah, that should not go unnoted.
Thomas Austin, Brandon Streeter, CJ Spiller. Tyson says got good clay to work with. Mm-hmm. Jared says surprised we still have Mike Reed. I like Goodwin. but Reed deserved defensive coordinator job. But 5 Con, 4 Hall, 3 Eason, 2 Goodwin, and 1 Reed. Now I'll say this: I think maybe, to be honest with you, he made Mike Reed the assistant head coach. I think there was a lot of candid discussions about what Mike Reed wanted to be. I don't know if he wanted to be a defensive coordinator or not. I think he could have been, just as easily as anybody else. But maybe Dabo said, "Hey, I'll groom you to be a head coach." I mean, Dabo Swinney was never an offensive coordinator at Clemson.
No.
Now, some people like to, gripe about how many plays that he did call. Apparently, all the bad calls, Houston, if you weren't aware, were called by Dabo Swinney.
Oh yeah, no.
But Dabo might have said, "Hey, Mike, you don't really need to be a coordinator. I wasn't a coordinator. I can groom you to be the next greatest head coach if that's what you want to be." And Mike might be just as fine doing that.
I mean,
he probably has a lot of decision-making ability as the assistant head coach.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you can get a Power 5 job as long as you're successful. And look at Sam Pittman at Arkansas. He was a successful offensive line coach wherever he went, and he parlayed that into being a head coach. Even Shane Beamer, and that's not a slight at him. He was successfully known as I believe he was a he's a tight ends coach, but he coached a variety of things and special teams. So he was a known assistant, and then he ended up coming back to South Carolina. Absolutely, I think Mike Reed could be that, depending on the fit. It may not be like him taking like LSU or something like that, but I definitely could see a Power 5 school reaching out to him to be a head coach if that were the case.
And Casey Cregan gets in, says 1 Reed, 2 Eason, 3 Richardson, 4 Austin, 5 Hall. Now Richardson, what are your thoughts on naming Richardson in the top 5 right now?
I mean, I think he's definitely worth an honorable mention off of recruiting. I think he'll get there. This is just one of those. It's an odd position to be in because you're a tight ends coach, so you're not necessarily featured as much. You're a passing game coordinator, so you're not going to get the proper credit that you're going to get. Let's not forget here, Joe Brady wasn't necessarily the OC at LSU. He's the passing game coordinator. Well, hey, look, Kyle Richardson's in the same spot. Maybe DJ will have his, Joe Burrow-esque year, and it's simply because Kyle Richardson did some tweaks here. But we won't understand. We won't see that. We won't know until later on with Kyle Richardson. I think it's just a little bit of the unknown with him. But if they have a great year this year, I'll absolutely put him high. He's recruiting really well.
Dylan gets in on Facebook. Coach Hall, Eason, Austin, Goodwin, and Reed. Lots of defensive guys on that top list. Thomas on Facebook says he has his work cut out for him this year, talking about Coach Reed. You think it's going to be a little bit harder for him? I mean, obviously the loss of Andrew Booth Jr., but he has lost high-profile cornerbacks in the past.
I mean, if you read what's coming in, there's talk that Toriano Pride might be able to see the field. And I mean, look, we've seen him live. If you had told me that Toriano Pride was a freshman, I wouldn't have believed you if I didn't know that already. He's built like a man. Toriano Pride is a man. And apparently Jaden Lucas has made strides too. So you got 3 I guess Sherrod Koval would be a safety, so that's under Mickey Kahn. But you got 2 absolute dogs at corner, and then you got some more corners coming in that are going to be very good as well. They're going to be good. They're going to be really good next year. And I mean, early indications are like if they're really, really in a pinch, Andrew Makuba could play corner as well. So you're going to be okay. I feel like they're going to be all right.
Well, I appreciate everybody getting in over on the chat, over on Facebook and YouTube. We still have a ton of people watching. The best thing that you can do for us on Facebook or YouTube is hit the like button. I'm going to go in and I'm going to like my own video because, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in, I'm going to join the live stream, and I'm going to hit the like button. We got about 26 right now. I just hit it. Go in, hit the like button, and join me in there as well. And then, hey, there's a little arrow that says share. share it with a friend when you have a chance. We'd really appreciate that. You can do the same over on Facebook as well. Hit the like button, and that will help our algorithm. I wanted to parlay our discussion into a question, and you mentioned Coach CJ Spiller. And a lot of people have said, well, when are they going to land their next big running back? And I say, patience, Padawan, patience, right? Because you already have 3 really good running backs. One is a 5-star guy that's just a sophomore. So you already have a very stacked running back room. My question throwing out to the crowd is, we can say so much about when's Clemson going to get the next biggest running back, but is the stacked Clemson running back room hurting recruiting right now? A lot of players come out and say, nowadays, I want to play right now. I want to play immediately. I want to get on the field and I want to start. I want to get a ton of touches. I don't care if I'm 18 years old. I want out there. I want the ball. Give me, right? And, more power to them. I'm not saying that's a wrong way of looking at it. But a lot of the day and age is, hey, I don't have a lot of time, especially in the running back position, because they get beat up pretty easily. They get the ball. They're getting slammed down to the ground a lot more than a wide receiver, say, is. But so the running back is on borrowed time as far as their body is concerned. So they want to get out there while they're young, prove what they can do, move on to the NFL quickly. But my question is, we like to brag about Kobe Pace and Phil Maffa and Will Shipley.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Siri likes to, when I say Shipley, she likes to think I say Siri. But we like to brag on Kobe Pace, Phil Maffa, and Will Shipley. But that also can hurt the running back room or hurt the recruiting, I will say, not the running back room, but that could potentially hurt the recruiting because, you get guys out there, let's say 50% of the guys out there say, hey, I want to play now. Well, it's kind of hard, especially if you're going to be honest with them. It's kind of hard to say you got a good chance at that. So am I looking too deep into it? Or what do you think, Houston?
I mean, you can make the case in 2018, you had a 5-star running back in Tavian Feaster. You had a blossoming stud in Travis Etienne. And then you had a solid back in Adam Choice that you had 3 solid options, but they chose to take another running back, and they got Lynn J. Dixon. He didn't end up working out in the end, but he gave you solid production in 18 and 19, in 20 even. But that didn't deter him from coming. I just think that people have this idea that it needs to be 5-star all the time. That's not always the case. And a lot of times that's not how Clemson develops their running backs. A lot of the best running backs in Clemson's history aren't the most highly rated backs. Case in point, Travis Etienne. Case in point, even Kobe Pace. He was the kind of the all right back that came in that 2020 class. And now he's a solid every down back, whereas DeMarcus Bowman has gone on to other places. So you look, it's just like, be patient. There's names that are out there that Clemson is talking to right now that haven't offered. There's names that we don't know about that Clemson's going to offer. So it's just a matter of time. We might find out by the end of the summer if there's going to be somebody committed or other offers, or it may take into the season. The main thing is they're going to have time this season to find somebody. It's not going to be, or at least presumably, as long as all hell doesn't break loose, it's going to be a lot less stringent to be able to find 8 to 10 guys this year. We got more than 12 recruits. That's the other thing. Clemson's got more than 12 recruits. So if you've got 18, 19, 20 guys already, and you're just looking to fill needs to get to that 22, 23 spot, and one of them happens to be a running back, you're in a lot better position with that than you are last year, where you're scrambling to put together the rest of your class.
Now, Tiggs gets in and says, keep in mind, they're all just one injury away from playing time, which is true, but it's hard. You don't really know if that's ever going to happen. And you really don't want to wish negative on anybody or injury on anybody. So, while it's a reality of the game, you really don't know. That's a toss-up. That's a what-if situation. A lot of guys want to know right now, and they want to be able to play right now. And Jared gets in over on Facebook and says, hard to become a starter as a freshman with running backs like Clemson has. Kids don't want to wait and develop. Look at Bowman. Now, Bowman left Clemson, went to Florida, left Florida, and now is going to, I think, Central Florida. So do you agree with that?
Well, the case in point in what I just said, Bowman didn't want to develop and left. Pace did. And look at him. He's gonna get his yaks every game. He may not be the starter, but he's gonna get some yaks.
So you've got Clemson Carson talks about Pace. He says, I'm a big fan of Pace. He was kind of overshadowed by Shipley, but he still was very good in his own right. Don't forget, he was a 3-star coming out of high school.
Exactly.
Timothy Selecki says Wayne Gallman was a linebacker turned running back.
That's another one.
David says, yes, running backs room is in good shape right now, but as we've seen, injuries and transfer can hit quickly.
Here's another thing that people don't realize, and I would love to see this happen, by the way. I wouldn't love to see it happen. I'd just be interested to see if it ever did. There is a star player on Clemson's team that did once play running back in high school and was very good at playing running back. Do you know who that was, Morgan?
No.
Trenton Simpson, who was a running back from Mallard Creek High School. And
wow, I did not realize that.
And he dogged some teams. They dogged Dutch Fork. They dogged Gaffney. He was hard to bring down. Not saying I want that to happen. I quite like him as a linebacker. But if push comes to shove, or at the very least, if it's 3rd and 1 or 1st and goal, you want to hand the ball to him and let him take a dive over, I'm okay with that. Or give the ball to Brzee.
Charlie on YouTube says, oh, yeah, all are very good. Cody also says, excited about Will Shipley for sure. But, man, Phil Maffa looks like a grown man, agile to boot. I agree. Jared gets in, says, 3-headed monster at running back in Death Valley. All 3 could play anywhere. That's true, too. I think Clemson has a good situation in their running back room for many years to come, and I really don't think there's need to panic. To be honest with you, let's just be completely clear. Clemson's recruiting, if you look back hindsight, Clemson's recruiting is not this year and last year is not, oh, we better get somebody to replace Will Shipley and Phil Maffa. It's not that. It's not panic mode, need to replace them. Their philosophy right now, or at least I feel like their approach is, let's shoot for the stars. Let's take our shot. Let's go for the big ones. If we don't get them, we don't get them. We have a 3-headed monster that technically Pace could take a super senior year because of COVID still. So they have a lot of running back. They have a 3-headed monster that could last beyond 2024. So, they could last to 2024. Sorry. So, 2024 could still be a 3-headed monster. Now, if Pace doesn't stay, then that could be they would still have Shipley and Maffa, right? So, I think 2024 is the year where you definitely want to try to get one of an elite freshman to learn that is willing to learn under Shipley and Maffa, and maybe even Pace at the same time. But still, because of the bundle up that you have, and they didn't really originally want this. They tried to redshirt Maffa, but because of injuries, they couldn't. But I think, like I said, definitely not panic time at all. Is it hurting recruiting? Maybe for some players. Yeah, maybe for some players. But for the most part, I think Clemson's mindset is it's not panic mode. We're going to go out and get the best player out there. We're going to offer the best players out there. But we're going to wait on a guy who really wants to be here. And it just so happened last year that it was Keith Adams Jr. from Utah. He wanted to really be there. Now, he's a legacy guy, but he deserves a shot too. He really wanted to be there, so he's there. Hey, guess what? People in the chat said Dominique Thomas. He's a walk-on right now. He has a big opportunity. He's a sophomore right now. He has a huge opportunity to earn a scholarship. He wants to be there. He's done everything in his power to get on the team. He's working his butt off in the offseason to get on the team. So you're looking at that and you're saying, hey, panic mode. No, they actually have a really decent roster right now that's going to last them more than likely through at least two 2024. So, definitely something that you want to continue to rebuild and reload, right? You want to continue to keep recruiting those guys, but there's no panic mode. Take as many guys as you can because you're running out of time. It's nothing like that. Jared Clark gets in and says all three are power backs between the tackles. Not a lot of finesse, just Raymond Priester style backs. I don't know. I mean, are we talking about these three guys? Because Will Shipley is dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I wouldn't call them necessarily Raymond Priester. I get what he's trying to say. Like, they're not dancing in the backfield and doing all this. They're getting upfield. But I would also say they've got a little bit more than just dragging people behind them. They've got some shake to them.
All right, Houston, I know we're a little bit past. We normally do an hour, but sometimes you're okay with going beyond an hour.
Yep.
Would you mind doing a couple of player highlights?
Yep.
Well,
That's
would you
fine.
mind or not mind?
I mean, I can do them. We can do this.
You can do 1 or 7, however many we have.
Yeah.
Let's do okay, I'll let you pick. Hunter Osborne, Tyler Williams, or Caleb Downs.
Why don't we go with the one that's most under the microscope right now, and that's Hunter Osborne.
Okay, let me pull him up here real quick. So we're going to look at highlight film from Hunter Osborne. I'm going to try this time, Houston, to actually pull up, film that is relevant. Because I got told that, the last film I did for Peter Woods was not his film.
By a relatively well-known person in the know about Peter Woods told you that.
Yeah. Well, I got told by a family member that, hey, that was his freshman footage and that I should play his junior footage. So I'm going to try to play his junior footage if I can find it here. So Hunter Osborne, Hewitt Trustful High School, varsity football. Let's see. Okay, this is the one I found. This is I don't really know. This looks like it's from 2021. So that would be last year, I'm hoping. All right. Before we pull up the video on him, let's take a look at some stats on him real quick. So Hunter Osborne, defensive line, probably a defensive end based on what I see. Some people say defensive tackle, but I don't know. 6'3", 250, 4-star, 15th best defensive lineman, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, 112th best player in the nation, has 51 total offers. According to 24/7 Sports, warm interest from Auburn, Clemson, Tennessee, Texas, and Alabama. Has visited Auburn June 10th, Clemson June 3rd, Tennessee June 24th, and Texas June 17th. Now, a little note from Cooper Patagna, from a national recruiting analyst, flashes a good first step off the line of scrimmage, displaying a good foot and body quickness at the point of attack, plays with good knee bend and flexibility, showing the ability to bend the edge. All right, so we know there's some competition out there. We know that he has visited 4 schools. Now you get 5 total visits. All right, so if you're not aware out there, you get 5 total visits. So he's already used up 4 out of those 5. And let's take a look at some of the film on him real quick. All right, again, Hunter Osborne out of Alabama. You see him line up on the edge, go power through 2 blockers, an offensive tackle and a running back, to get to the quarterback in the backfield. You'll see him in the backfield a lot, Houston.
I like his burst. He's got great burst. That's the first thing that jumps off is, maybe it's the competition, but he's making quick moves and he's getting upfield. He's engaging with his blocker and he's shedding that really quick. So I really like his burst off the ball.
Yeah, I've got down here, and let me pull up my notes on Osborne, but I've got very good at the pursuit. Outside contain, I really like what he does. You can't get around him because he sets the edge really well. I put down pass rushing monster. If you're a quarterback and you don't make a quick decision, he is coming at you and in your face extremely quick. And he is strong enough to power through a block. As you see there in that film, he tackles a guy while still being engaged in a block. strong upper body, able to power through and just bring guys down, push through guys off the snap, and has a very, very heavy first hit. I feel like when he comes at you, Houston, on that first hit, you're feeling it.
Yep, you definitely know it. I would say he's got the size and the speed. I mean, what I see on the edge, I mean, this is kind of similar to like similar games that you saw in the final product of like Kevin Dodd or the likes of somebody like Bennett I can't remember what Bennett's first name, or in the early 2000s that played alongside of Gaines Adams. He's got a lot of burst. He's got a lot of length, and he's just a force on the edge that you've always got to take account for.
If you look at some of the scouting report here, keys to a good player, a good Power 5 player, 6'4", 260. You want to see somebody who shows that he can overpower and or outquick an offensive lineman literally anytime he wants. I feel like he's more of a overpower the offensive lineman, but he outquicks the running back and the quarterback. He has kind of like two levels. He can go at you strong and hard and use his power, but then he can turn on his speed to stop you from getting around him or to scramble away. And that causes for his quick twitch skills. Does he have that? I agree too. He does. Dominates the line of scrimmage and jumps off the screen when you watch his film. Houston, do all those things, mean do those things seem to line up for you too, for Hunter Osborne? Because I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is right in the similar vein of what Clemson's been getting in this class. Aggressive, big guys that have a lot of motor to them. I think this falls right in line. I think if Clemson's able, I would imagine that this is going to be one of the few non-committed players. There might be a few more this year than normal, but I'd imagine if he's not committed by say middle of July, then you're going to probably see him pop up on an invite to come for the all-in cookout at the end of the month.
Timothy says the Bama boys. He also says got strong hands.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas thinks that he's going to go to Tennessee. Cody says already looks like a college football player. Tig says kind of has a Brian Bresee look to him.
I see it.
I could see it. He's definitely lining up on the outside a ton. But again, just very, very strong and aggressive right off the snap. And you like that. A teachable player has the body build. I mean, gosh, already, what did we say? 6'3", 260?
Mm-hmm.
Already there as far as body goes, as they mentioned before, already there. So, you're just at that point are teaching him skills. 6'3", 250. You're teaching him how to refine his skills. Maybe you're teaching him maybe you're getting him in the weight room to get more muscle mass.
Yeah.
Jerry Clark says, worries me he won't come with all the defensive line talent we have. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, you're losing a ton of defensive ends. He's going to have plenty of opportunities when he gets here because KJ Henry, Miles Murphy, and Xavier Thomas are all going to the NFL. Now, I know there's guys behind them, but those guys are very likely to be gone. So it's going to be a big opening. Clemson needs to take a big class because they need to replenish. And Hunter Osborne can definitely do that. Now, going back to the comment from Thomas about he could go to Tennessee, not if Christopher Vizina has anything to do with it. Not if Vic Burley has anything to do with it. They're on Twitter almost every week saying, hey, Osborne, come to Clemson.
I would feel like the real competition would be with Texas. But we'll see. I mean, I feel like some of the him and Han over this might be a little overstated. I think he still has a lot of resonating thoughts coming from that June 3rd visit. So I still think Clemson's in good position with him.
All right, let's look at a safety that's still on the board from Mill Creek in Houston, Georgia, not too far down I-85. Caleb Downs. He's still on the board. Now, I know we talked about Robert Billings, being an opportunity as well. But Caleb Downs is a 5-star safety, 6 foot, 185 from Houston, Georgia, Mill Creek High School. The 11th best player in the nation, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, has 34 total offers and has visited 4 schools. So he still has 1 visit available. Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State. He has a crystal ball to Alabama, but a lot of people say that he also has a lot of interest in Georgia. He has yet to visit Clemson, being recruited by Mickey Kahn. Andrew Ivins, Southeast recruiting analyst for 24/7 Sports Composite, says skills a 10, for instincts a 10, for playmaking, versatility 9, tackling 9, cover skills 8, ball skills 8, speed 8, frame 8. This guy has it all. Let's pull up some of his video because Houston, interesting stat on Caleb Downs here. In 2021, last year, had at least 1 touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown, 1 kickoff return touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 interception return for touchdown. He had 5 different types of touchdowns last year, 1 of each at least. Some he had 2 and 3 of. So talk about a guy who can literally do everything. That's this guy. So let's take a look at him and see what we think with his film from YouTube. So this is him, class of 2023, 5-star safety out of Georgia. Caleb Downs showing off his interception for, I believe, touchdown here as he stretches for the goal line. You can just see when you watch him, when you look at the notes that I have from scouts around the nation about what they look for a guy in the secondary, a safety type guy, somebody who literally cannot be stopped and has to be on the field almost at all times on both sides of the field and in special teams. That's where you get your 5-star secondary guys. When you look at guys that aren't 5 stars, it's because they're missing those things. Caleb Downs is not missing those. He has those and then some. He can literally do everything. And if you're a high school coach, this is who you want on your team because he can take over at any position, offense or defense. And you're seeing it right here. Not only that, he's a turnover monster. He's a scoring monster, a defensive scoring monster, and an offensive scoring monster. I mean, he deserves every bit of a 5-star that I see from him in his film. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, the athleticism is definitely there. Like, he's got a brother that is a wide receiver for North Carolina. You can definitely see that that's the biggest thing that jumps off is his athleticism. He's always on. He pursues the ball well. He has really soft hands, really quick, got great burst. There's probably some things as far as being in position or like looking at this play. It's got great hustle. He tracked this down. You know that with an athlete, but it's also these types of plays that he's making. I would like to see if it's something that early on he can hit. If it's something that he can work on being in position or not. That's oftentimes what freshmen struggle with is knowing assignments and not just being able to hit and track down people because they're not the greatest athlete on the field anymore. They're not the only one, at least. So just some technical things I'd be interested to see as he moves on to whatever school he does.
Extremely hard hitter. Again, a guy who can do it all. When you look at what you're looking for in a cornerback, you're seeing it on the screen, to be honest with you. Both an elite athlete and an extremely tough player, fearless on the field and willing to go literally 100% every single play. Great instincts, flips his hips perfectly, supports the run game, stops screens, sniffs out screens. I mean, literally everything that you would want in a player in the secondary on defense. You're getting that in Caleb Downs. Great film. I love seeing it. Tig says, looks like a thumper. Yes, he will hit you. All right, so we're going to do one more, and then we'll be done for the night. This is Tyler Williams, and he's a wide receiver from Lakeland, Florida. Let's see if I can get his film up here real quick. But Tyler Williams, wide receiver, 6'3", 180 pounds from Lakeland, Florida, 130th overall nationally right now. Steve Wiltfong from 24/7 Sports Composite has him going to Georgia with a medium confidence there. Currently has visited Clemson June 3rd, Georgia June 10th, South Carolina June 14th, and Texas A&M June 24th. So he's done 4 visits so far, has 44 total offers, and has actually announced his commitment date of September 27th. And he's also a guy who is leaning, at least from the experts think, is leaning towards Georgia. All right, so let's look at what Andrew Ivins, again, Southeast recruiting analyst, says. Plays basketball, has a D1 offer from Florida Gulf Coast, averaged 11.6 points per game in basketball as a sophomore, was a quarterback turned wide receiver, and became a legitimate D1 prospect. So let's pull up some of his film because he's a very versatile guy. Is he a basketball player playing football? Is he a football player who also can play basketball at a high level? Let's take a look and see. 6'5", 190, dual sport athlete. Well, before that, let me remove the title here. Let me put Tyler Williams up here. Okay, there we go. Let me do it right. All right, Tyler Williams, his highlight film here. 6'5", 190, already behind the defense there. You can tell he's a very tall guy, plays an outside receiver really well, does the deep ball really well, would fit in well with anybody trying to open up the field deep. Here he is coming back to an underthrown ball and just jukes a guy out of his shoes. Look at number 3 there. He's just so disappointed. I laughed at that video. I was like, man, that number 3 guy, he is so sad. Can also play special teams here, as you can see, has good vision to find lanes and get down the field. Very quick, too. Obviously, super long arms, super long legs. Great, typical outside guy. As Alan mentioned, one of those deep ball guys, one of those jump ball guys. Houston, what do you think?
I mean, a lot of what he reminds me of, I know he's a little shorter, but he looks a lot like Martavis Bryant. In the way that he runs and kind of carries himself on the field. He is fast. Yes, he's very lanky, but his speed is what sets him apart. He is a burner. A lot of these, and look, obviously you're gonna show off what your skill sets are. He's a burner. So I really want to see a little bit more of what he can do if he's a little more contested, because you're not gonna necessarily be the fastest guy on the field with every single team that you play. So I want to see what happens when he's a little bit more contested. But when you look at his athleticism and more so his speed, you can definitely see why teams like Georgia and Alabama and Clemson are looking at him.
Like you said, I mean, wide receivers, they're going to highlight what they do best. And a lot of times it's deep balls like this. So it's not uncommon to see a ton of deep balls, a ton of plays. Here's one I like kind of to the flats where he makes a move and shows his power. He is a guy who constantly looking for extra yards, looking to make plays, looking to turn it on. He's not just going to accept what the defense gives him. He likes to make separation, throw his arm up, and get open. Here, a great catch on the sideline as well. So again, another great player that we've been able to review this year for the 2023 recruiting class. Where will he go? Will it be Georgia? Will it be Clemson? Maybe somewhere else? You'll let us know in the comments of what you think. And that's it. That's it for us tonight. That's Tyler Williams. Again, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Georgia, Clemson. Where will he go? I hope you enjoyed the film. We covered a lot of things tonight. We covered recruiting talk. We covered head position coach talk. We covered 3 player highlights and much more, and answered your questions as well. Thank you so much, everybody, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, for getting in. Again, every Thursday night, 7 p.m., we are here, The Morgan Thomas Show, at The Morgan T Show on Twitter, Houston at Radio Guy Houston on Twitter. Al doesn't have Twitter. And so you can't see him there. But go follow us over there. We try to update and talk to you every single day on Twitter. And you can you can watch us live and join the show every Thursday night. Tell your friends about it. We're going to continue it through the rest of the season. We've been doing this, Houston, for over 3 years now. Crazy to think. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for getting in. On behalf of myself, Big Al, and Houston, we'll see you at the top of the hill. Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Tremmel a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.